Welcome to the weekly dose of Emuna for Shabbat Kodesh. It all boils down to Emuna on Shabbos. Shabbos signifies Chidush Ha'olam. The fact that the world came into existence is brought down on every Shabbos Kodesh. The world wasn't just there. It wasn't always in existence. Chidush Ha'olam on Shabbos means that the world is constantly coming into existence, anew every single moment, and Hashem is constantly creating it out of utter nothingness. What does that exactly mean? It means that the world has no true existence. The world is based on utter nothingness, and at every moment it could be recreated or turned into utter nothingness once again. That's the essential reality that we live in. And this is the basic meaning of Shabbat Kodesh, that we understand that the world is constantly being run by Hashem. At every given moment, it could change. And that's what we do on Shabbos. We commemorate, we recognize that Hashem ceased to continue to work on Shabbos. And that is what essentially signifies that whole concept of Chidush Ha'olam. When we say that the world is recreated, the point I'm trying to make is that the world doesn't exist in its own right? That the whole existence stems from its source, and that all of the source is utter nothingness. So why is there a world? What does it mean that there's no world? How can you tell me there's no world? People may ask, if when I look around, I see things in existence. So the Svarim HaKadoshim teach us that the reason why we feel the world to be a true reality is solely because Hashem wills for it to be that way. In other words, if it wasn't for Hashem's will for us to sense this world in such a truthful reality that it's so real to us, it wouldn't be so. It's as simple as that. Hashem desires it, and so it is. Now, how can I bring about a Kiddush Hashem in this world? How can I be awarded the opportunity to sanctify Hashem's name in this world? So the Rambam writes in Mishnah LaTorah, Hilchot Yisodei HaTorah, he writes that every time that we do a mitzvah, or we refrain from committing a sin, for the sole reason that Hashem told us to do so, we are essentially living a Kiddush Hashem. So in other words, if I do a mitzvah for no other reason, no personal considerations, not because it sounds right, it sounds logical, it looks like it's a good idea, but totally l'shem shamayim, because Hashem instructed me to do so, then essentially we have not only done one mitzvah and perform that particular mitzvah, but we also are awarded the idea of performing a second mitzvah, and that mitzvah is called doing a mitzvah l'shem shamayim, solely for the purpose of Kiddush Hashem. So for instance, on Shabbat Kodesh, when I find that there's a spill on the floor, instead of me rushing around and seeing how am I going to clean that spill, oh my gosh, it's now going ahead and it's spreading all over the place. Oh, I see the paper towels. I want to go ahead and grab the paper towels, and I want to cut off a piece of paper towel. And suddenly I recognize I cannot tear off a piece of paper towel from the roll because it's Shabbos Kodesh. So I scrummage around and look for another option, an old towel or shmata, whatever it is that I see lying around. And with that, I use to clean up the spill. In fact, I have performed shtei mitzvot, a Kiddush Hashem, as well as the mitzvah of l'shem shamayim. That I've done it l'shem shamayim, and I've kept Shabbat, and I've done Kiddush Hashem, both mitzvot. So essentially, if we understand that Hashem has given us the gift every Shabbat to renew the world by keeping Shabbat, kihilchata, the way that He has asked us to do it, without understanding it, whether it makes sense to me, whether it doesn't make sense to me, I stayed away from using those paper towels because Hashem has commanded me to do so. Then essentially, I am living with Emuna Shlema. I am living with the essence that I understand that Hashem is with me at every given moment. He is watching what I'm doing. And Shabbat Kodesh is that special time for developing this kind of Emuna, special time for coming closer to Hashem, right? The whole world is filled with Hashem's glory. Yes, that's what's written. But Shabbat is a special day. I'm awarded with that special gift of being able to be closer to Hashem, Dafka on Shabbos. And so, essentially on Shabbat, it does boil down to Emuna. Nobody's looking at me. Nobody really knows. But Hashem is looking at me. And I want to be part of that Chidush HaOlam. I want to be part of renewing that world. And so essentially I'm going to live and abide by the Hilchot Shabbat as given down to me by the holy sages in the Torah Kedosha. So with that in mind, Be'ezrat Hashem, let's keep ourselves close together, close-knit with Hashem, this Shabbat and every Shabbat, and recognize that it's our opportunity to live with Emuna Shlema every Shabbat once again. Have a great Shabbat.